Welcome back. Today's career video, it's a long one. It's a long one because Chris Chelios, as we speak, is still the defenseman who's played the most games in the history of the National Hockey League. So while Patrick Marleau holds the all-time record for players, Chris Chelios holds the record for defensemen. And that record could fall this year. Zdeno Chara could absolutely pass that record. But before it gets passed, let's take a look at Chris Chelios. A player who had his share of controversies in his time. I remember Ron Hextall voicing his displeasure with him using his stick and more of a physical attack rather than a verbal. But Chelios, while there's some controversies there for hits thrown and things done, in the end he is one of the best defensemen of his time. So he's drafted 40th overall in 1981. Not a highly thought of player at the time he's drafted, but when he joins the team in 83-84, there's something there. He has 2 assists in 12 games, and he fits in pretty much right away. And in the playoffs, he plays 15 games, 1 goal, 9 assists for 10 points. So he makes a really good impression in the playoffs. 84-85, he ends up being on the all-rookie team, plays 74 games, 9 goals, 55 assists for 64 points. He also earns himself a spot in the All-Star game. So Chris Chelios is an unknown entity no longer and has become a star. Also, 9 games in the playoffs, 2 goals to go with 8 assists for 10 points. So, not bad. 85-86, he misses roughly half the season, plays 41 games, 8 goals, 26 assists, 34 points. So he's still scoring at an incredible rate. 67 penalty minutes. So I do have penalty minutes in here to track. It was 87 penalty minutes that first year. 12 penalty minutes in 12 games the partial year he had before that. Because penalty minutes tell you some of the story here with Chelios. So in the playoffs, 20 games played, 2 goals, 9 assists for 11 points, and of course the Stanley Cup. The Montreal Canadiens, 1986, you got Patrick Roy, you got Chris Chelios. The future looks really bright. This was a team that, of course, in the 70s had Dryden, Robinson, and Lafleur. And now things are looking pretty bright for Montreal with the new crop of youngsters they've got. 86-87, in 71 games played, 11 goals, 33 assists, 44 points, and he records 124 penalty minutes. First time he's gone over 100 penalty minutes in a season. In 17 playoff games, 4 goals, 9 assists for 13 points. And it is quite the overall runs that they have with Chelios there. He's a very good playoff performer. And one record that Chara will not catch is his playoff games played record, which stands to this day. 87-88, he plays 71 games, has his only 20-goal season in his career. Mild surprise there, 41 assists, 61 points, 172 penalty minutes for Chris Chelios. In the playoffs, 11 games played, 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. 88-89, as he continues to add to his star status. 80 games played, 15 goals, 58 assists, 73 points, 185 penalty minutes. And in the playoffs, they go to the finals. They lost to Calgary, who they had defeated in 86 in the finals. 21 games, 4 goals, 15 assists, 19 points for Chris Chelios. He wins the Norris Trophy that year. He's a first-team All-Star in the NHL. Things are pretty good. 89-90, only plays 53 games due to injury. 9 goals, 22 assists, 31 points. Reaches 100 penalty minutes, ends up with 136. In the playoffs, he adds 1 assist in 5 games. It's Montreal. Things are unpredictable in Montreal. But the idea of trading Chris Chelios seems weird, and yet on June 29th of that year, they did trade him with a 1991 second-round pick in exchange for Denis Savard, who I did the video on yesterday. So a player from the All-Star game from 89-90 is traded for Denis Savard, hometown boy coming home, and for Chelios, he is going south of the border. He's an American player, so it makes sense that he'd be in Chicago. It makes a lot of sense, and yet it is a trade that the Montreal Canadiens really wouldn't live down. 90-91, that first year in Chicago, is a pretty good one for Chelios. 77 games, 12 goals, 52 assists, 64 points, 192 penalty minutes. In 6 playoff games for Chicago, 1 goal, 7 assists for 8 points. 92, 80 games played in 91-92, 9 goals, 47 assists, 56 points, 245 penalty minutes. So, good offensively, defensively sound, Could fight, hitter, sometimes rides that line. 18 games in the playoffs, 6 goals, 15 assists for 21 points. So a nice long run for the 92 Chicago Blackhawks, and Chelios is a huge part of it. 92-93, 84 games played. It was an 84-game season that year. 15 goals, 58 assists, 73 points, which is a career high for him. Ties his points total in Montreal in 88-89, and same amount of goals and assists as well. 282 penalty minutes, which was 10th in the NHL. It's the only time he's top 10 in penalty minutes. 4 games in the playoffs, 2 assists. He wins the Norris Trophy. 282 penalty minutes and a Norris Trophy. First team All-Star and played in the All-Star game. Pretty good year for Chelios. Of course, as a side note, that's 92-93. That's the year Denis Savard and the Montreal Canadiens win the Stanley Cup. So, again, while Montreal may have lost the Chelios trade, they still end up winning a cup in 93. 93-94, 76 games played, 16 goals, 44 assists, 60 points, 212 penalty minutes in 6 playoff games. He records a goal and an assist, and he appeared in the All-Star game that year as well. 94-95, lockout shortened season, 48 games, 5 goals, 33 assists, 38 points. Very reliable scoring and reliable penalty minutes. 72 penalty minutes that year. 16 games in the playoffs, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. He's a first-team All-Star again. So he had plenty of years where he was, say, top 5 in Norris voting kind of thing, right? And that's remarkable when you're that consistent. 95-96, 81 games played, 14 goals, 58 assists for 72 points. That 58 assists ties him with his career high from 93 as well as from 89. So yeah, the 72 points is one off of a career high. 140 penalty minutes, 9 playoff games, 3 assists. He ends up winning the Norris Trophy. Of course, he's a first-team All-Star, played in the All-Star game, and he's named team captain in Chicago as well. So, things are going very well for Chris Chelios. In 96-97, 72 games, 10 goals, 38 assists, 48 points, 112 penalty minutes, and in 6 playoff games, he records 1 assist. He's a second-team All-Star, and he plays in the All-Star game that year. So 97-98, this is where the goals suddenly take a drop. 81 games, 3 goals, 39 assists, 42 points, 151 penalty minutes. He's in the All-Star game again. As he got older, the defensive side of his game was still really strong. So while the offense wasn't great, the defense was still very, very good. So he's still an All-Star, and he's still very respected around the league. Mostly, anyways. Most, maybe not by all fans, but most respected. So he plays 65 games with the Hawks in 98-99. 8 goals, 26 assists, 34 points, 89 penalty minutes. March 23rd, he's traded to the Detroit Red Wings for a 1999 first, a 2001 first, and Anders Eriksson. This is considered to be a decent haul for Chicago on a player with Chris Chelios, who's getting older, but he's going to play a long time in Detroit. And I debated before I made this video, like, should I wear the Chicago jersey or the Detroit jersey? I went with Detroit because he wins a Stanley Cup there, then he wins another Stanley Cup there, and he was there just as long as he was in Chicago. And with the Hawks, he didn't win a cup. So while I have a Chris Chelios Blackhawks jersey, I thought, no, I'll wear Detroit. So in 98-99, after that trade deadline move, he plays 10 games in Detroit, 1 goal, 1 assist, 5 penalty minutes, so it's a major penalty. 10 games in the playoffs, 4 assists for him that year. 99-2000, 81 games played for Detroit, 3 goals, 31 assists, 34 points, 103 penalty minutes. So in Detroit, he is not given the same role that he was in previous locations, and they play to his strengths. He played 9 playoff games, 1 assist. He did have an All-Star game appearance in 2000. So, yeah, things are going pretty darn well for Chelios, but he misses most of the following season, 2000-2001. Only plays 24 games. So while he's the all-time leader in games played by a defenseman, he could have played more. 3 assists in those 24 games to go with 45 penalty minutes. 5 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal. 2001-2002, what was a magical run by the Detroit Red Wings, and arguably one of the best teams ever put together. 79 games, 6 goals, 33 assists, 39 points. That's how you roar back if you're Chelios. A fantastic comeback season. Penalty minutes, 126. In the playoffs, 23 games, 1 goal, 13 assists, 14 points. Great playoffs. Stanley Cup win. He's a first-team All-Star, and he makes an All-Star game appearance yet again. So, star-studded career. We're almost 20 years in. He's still an All-Star. He's still one of the best defensemen in the game. 2002-2003, 66 games, 2 goals, 17 assists, 19 points, 78 penalty minutes, 4 games in the playoffs. They were swept that year by Anaheim. So for Detroit, this is where the argument of this team's getting older comes in a lot, and Chelios is a part of that argument, right? 2002-2003 happens, then 03-04 happens, and 69 games played, 2 goals, 19 assists, 21 points. Again, the offense is down, right? 61 penalty minutes, so now the penalty minutes are down as well. 8 games played in the playoffs, 1 assist. So we come into the salary cap era, and Chris Chelios' offense is virtually gone. But still, he is a valuable part of that blue line. 2005-2006, 81 games played, 4 goals to go with 7 assists, 108 penalty minutes. So he's still taking penalties. 6 games in the playoffs, no points. 2006-2007, 71 games, 11 assists for him that year. 34 penalty minutes. So the penalty minutes are way down. 18 games in the playoffs, 1 goal, 6 assists. He also won the Messier Leadership Award that year. So, yeah, I mean, he's still an award winner. Good veteran. 2007-2008, as his ice time is now being cut back, 69 games, 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points, 36 penalty minutes. He plays 14 games in that playoff run. Gets himself his 3rd Stanley Cup ring. So for Chelios, that's a pretty big year for him, and that's kind of the last year where he's prominent. 2008-2009, he plays 28 games for Detroit, does not record a point. 18 penalty minutes that year, 6 games in the playoffs, no points there either. And they decided not to keep him around. So he signs a contract in the AHL. He ends up garnering some interest from the Atlanta Thrashers, who on March 2nd, they brought him in. And he played 7 games for the Thrashers. No points, but that was his 4th team. He did play for Atlanta, and he would retire on August 31st of that year. So an amazingly long career, 1,651 games, which is 8th on the all-time list. And like I said, first amongst defensemen. 185 goals, 763 assists, which is 41st all-time. 948 points, 2,891 penalty minutes, which is 12th on the all-time list. In the playoffs, 266 games, which is an NHL record for games played in the playoffs. 31 goals, 133 assists, 144 points. Chris Chelios was never as flashy as some of the other defensemen in the 80s and then into the 90s, but he was a winner. 2002, he wins silver at the Olympics with the U.S. team. 1996, he wins gold at the World Cup of Hockey with the U.S. team. And 1991 at the Canada Cup, he's on the American team that captures silver. He does have the most games played until Chara passes him. I think Chara's 50 games behind him as we get set for the start of the 2021-2022 season. But at worst, he's 2nd on the all-time games played list at the end of this year. And that's still a pretty good spot to be. And, of course, Hall of Famer. He got in as soon as he was eligible to be inducted. And I don't think there was any debate about Chris Chelios' spot as a Hall of Famer. Both for the longevity of the career, for the success he had, whether it was Stanley Cups, individual Norris Trophies, or just his scoring acumen. Everything he had and the physical side of it, he was kind of one of those great all-around defensemen. And I don't know if we'll ever see another one like him who gets penalty minutes like that and points like that at the same time and is still capable defensively. There you go. The career of Chris Chelios. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.